Hi, welcome back to GloriaAndJan YouTube channel. Today I'm not with Jan, but I'm gonna actually be talking to you guys about something that is in the paranormal side. And I want to know if you guys have ever actually heard of this place before. I personally haven't until right now. So let's get started right into the video. Today we're actually going to be talking about the Stull Cemetery in Kansas. So a lot of people say it's a lot of different things. They do say that this is a gateway to hell, supposedly. Right next to this cemetery there is an event, there was, because it has now been taken down, but there was a church that was there. It didn't have a roof anymore because it was that old, but they ended up shutting it down because of everything that's gonna, go forward from what we're gonna start talking about today. So the reason this actually all started was because some college students decided to write a little newspaper about this cemetery right in Kansas, and they were actually from the University of Kansas, and this happened in 1974. They decided to do this newspaper. They just talked about like some chilling stories. A lot of people said that before this they never had any problems about there being anything paranormal or there being anything out of the ordinary type of stuff, but these kids went on to say different things that happened to them. Supposedly some were saying that like they had been touched, that they had like completely lost consciousness and stuff like that, and in the cemetery. But a lot of the people from the town were saying that this was not something that actually happened, but these kids did go on and say all of this stuff, right? So supposedly all of these stories date back to 100 years before this. So remember, this story was taken out in 1974. A lot of these college students were saying that supposedly some of the stories that were happening, their grandparents had told them about it. So they were just like, well, it's not really our experience, but our grandparents told us that this happened when they were younger, right? And so they were just like, we're just gonna be spreading the information out. But basically, these college students also ended up saying that the devil appears at this Stull, because that's what it's called, Stull Cemetery, that the devil appears twice in a year. It shows up in Halloween, and the second time is in spring equinox. And if you guys don't know, it's a little bit strange that they would say Halloween. I understand that a lot of people link it to like like different things, right? Depending on like spiritual stuff and stuff like that. So it was, before it was called Halloween, it was called All Hallows Eve, and this was it originated from Ireland. And during this time, a lot of people would think that during Halloween, this time, they thought that the thin line that crossed from the actual world and the spiritual world, that the little line or the little wall that was in between them actually got much more thinner, so they felt like they would be able to communicate a little bit more with like the spirits of the dead, basically. Even throughout the medieval periods, they actually would put a candle outside in their backyard because they believed that the spirits of these people that were dead were like wandering around the world, or in the earth, I guess you could say. They felt like they were wandering around, so they decided to put candles because they felt like that would allow their loved ones and their spirits to come back to them. And then back to what all these kids wrote on their papers, they also were writing things about like witchcraft. They were saying that a lot of people would go into the cemetery and do witchcraft. They also had so many different things going on. These kids would since they ended up saying that the devil appears twice a year, it actually became a huge thing during this time. Some people were even going as far as saying that it wasn't called Stull Cemetery, but that the town was actually called Skull. And that was false, because it was actually the name of somebody that lived there before. He used to have a post office and his last name was Stull, so then it just sort of stuck with the town and they just ended up leaving it as Stull, right? But I feel like a lot of people just there's always skeptics and there's people that believe, so you never really know what is actually occurring, right? So some people were actually believing in it, some were not. So even though some people thought that it was named Skull before, right, like how I just said, but it's actually Stull, the actual original name of this place of Stull was Deer Creek Community. That's what it was called up until 1899, that it was, that's what it was, that's what the name was. I actually thought it was really funny. One of the stories that actually, one of the people that something happened to them, right, they said that they were walking in the cemetery and that all of a sudden this really like big gush of wind just sort of they felt it, and it just completely scared them. They felt like it was like a spirit wandering or something, so they ended up just wanting to run away, right? So as soon as they turned around to go to their car, they said that where their car originally was actually on the other side of the cemetery all of a sudden, and it was faced the opposite side of the cemetery. So they said that this completely freaked them out and they decided not to go there anymore, which at the same time I sort of think about it and it's just like, I wonder if they were completely okay or if there was something going on. Like, what was the reason for that to happen? But at the same time, everybody has different, things. You never know if that was actually truth, or if maybe they just completely forgot that they had left the car in a different position or in a different way. And since they got so frightened, they just, thought that it was maybe not the way that they left it. Another man also claimed that he was in the cemetery as well, but this time he wasn't just in the cemetery, he was inside of the church. And he said that also he felt this gust of wind just sort of knock him to the ground. And when he ended up falling to the ground, he said that he couldn't move, as if he was paralyzed. So I feel like that's another thing. He said he was there for a while, right? And then after that that just freaked him out. But it's just like, that's sort of weird. The way that I sort of see this is, I feel like whenever I hear of people saying that they've got possessed or something like that, they always say that they can't move. They get sort of paralyzed before they can move. There's just other people that also say that before they get possessed, they start feeling like a lot of pressure in their head. So I feel like that's maybe like, I'm not saying that's what happened, but what about something was almost trying to possess him, You never know. Because they do say that at that church they were doing a lot of witchcraft, and there was a lot of devil worshippers. So you never really know what actually was going on. It also just depends on you, It depends if you believe in the supernatural, if you don't. Another strange thing about this Stull Cemetery is that they say that inside of the church, well, like I said, the church isn't there anymore. They did demolish it. But they say that inside of the church, since it didn't have a roof on top of it, they said that when it would rain, the rain would never go inside of the church. I feel like that is strange. If that was actually something that was happening, that is so strange. Like, how can the rain not touch a specific area, That's just something that I was just sort of like, that'd be pretty cool to see, Another thing that I thought that was really weird, that when they were saying that the devil appeared during Halloween, the people that were also spreading these rumors were also saying people that were unalived in really, really extreme ways, that for some reason also their spirits would also show up. So I find that really, really weird. Like, I feel like that would sort of make sense, if they're saying that the devil would appear. Like, how come he's the only one appearing, Like, the cemetery is where there's a lot of people that, are not alive. So it's just like, how come just one being, or one thing, whatever you want to call him, is the only one being able to roam, But at the same time, it's just sort of, I don't know. You guys should sort of give me your opinions on what you guys think as well. I really do want to know. I mean, I have my own way of thinking, so I for sure would want to know how everybody else thinks. Okay, and then coming closer to a little bit further after 1974, right? By 1989, this story had grown so much that people from Kansas would come and just go to the cemetery during Halloween because they wanted to see something. They wanted to see spirits roaming around. They wanted to see the devil appear. And this thing was becoming such a big thing that people were just crowding. The people from the town hated this. They did not like it at all. They were actually really, really mad. In the article that I was reading, it kept on popping up that the people from the community did not like that, and I completely understand. Imagine that you have a loved one buried somewhere there, and then all of a sudden you see all these people going and all of that. When you see large groups of people, it's not going to be a good thing. It's going to be like vandalized. There's going to be a mess. There's going to be trash thrown everywhere. And it's like, imagine if you're trying to keep a tomb clean, you're trying to keep the area clean where your loved one is at, and then all of a sudden people randomly come and just start kicking dirt around, kicking the grass around. You never know what's going on, So I completely understand why they would hate people going there. They did end up building like a whole fence, and security's always roaming around because people were just going intense. But like how I was saying, in 1989, it got so big that people were everywhere. The police needed to escort everybody. The next year after that, the police had to be roaming and patrolling because people were going far and beyond trying to see what was going on. They were giving people, like, I think almost like flying slips. It does say something about them giving them something if they were trespassing, because they'll be like, you're trespassing if you're going into the cemetery. But yeah, I felt like this story is a little bit, how can I say? I don't understand why they call it one of the gateways to hell. I don't understand that. In the sense I don't understand that is because I feel like the stories and everything that was going on isn't that intense. It's not like, oh, like a lot of people were unalived, oh, there's a whole bunch of accidents, it's like, how come like a random place like that is causing so much of a stir. But you never know. Honestly, I feel like wherever the dead is, people just feel uncomfortable. People just don't feel like okay. I don't know, but that is my opinion, sort of. I don't think I give it that well, but if you guys can let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I really do want to hear you guys' opinion. I don't know if you guys want to tell me if you guys are a believer in the supernatural. Do you guys believe that someone's spirit can be roaming the earth? But yeah, this is where I'm going to be ending my video. You guys remember to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you guys can be updated whenever we post a new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.